And we're back. We finally got the right evidence. She claims that it was planned murder. However, the weapon was left in the trunk, which seemed kinda sus. Lana Skye intended to murder Detective Goodman. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again. The victim was summoned from the police department to the prosecutor's office. It does sound a lot like premeditation, doesn't it? So, if I ordered a pizza, does that mean I'm planning to kill the delivery boy? In any case, the defense may now cross-examine the witness. Angel's deduction. So this is basically her trying to prove that this murder was planned. For whatever reason. Lana Skye intended to murder Detective Goodman. You've said that, but how haven't you told us you know? That's what I'm about to tell you, rookie. I believe she just said was a mere prelude to the story she's about to tell. Try not to interrupt her again. Rookie. Never interrupt a storyteller. It's like pulling a bun out of the oven half-baked. Something's half-baked here, alright, and it's you. Try not to confuse the defense witness. They're not very quick on their feet. Oh no, you're so mean! Remember that part about how you were a suspect for murder and I successfully defended you and got you 2 not guilty verdicts? Remember that part, Edgeworth? No? You're gonna be an asshole to my face? Okay. Now, why did you believe the suspect had intentions to murder the victim? Her actions speak for themselves. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. You have no proof that Miss Skye called him there. You have no proof that she didn't. Mr. Edgeworth, thoughts? There is no record of a call made on the defendant, Miss Lana Skye's phone. She might have written him a letter. Come on, you could have tried public phone first, at least. In any case, the victim came to the prosecutor's office where he was murdered. I'm sure he had a reason to be there. Witness? Why do you think it was the suspect who was summoned to the victims that day? I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. I don't think so. They had no connection. What kind of grudge? Well, I wouldn't know that. Of course you don't. That's because she didn't have a grudge. Rookie. I have a lunchbox here. Now, what's inside? How am I supposed to know? See? We agree there is a lunchbox here, but we don't know what's inside. A person's life is like a lunchbox with pretzels. Don't you agree? I get it. That's why my lunch was so salty. This judge isn't very good with metaphors. The suspect had a grudge against Detective Goodman. Will you tell us your basis for thinking this? It's simple. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again. A human machine? That's a contradiction. Please. Can't you find fault with something of substance, Mr. Wright? Note to self, Mr. Edgeworth's sighs smell like citrus fruit. You say again and again. How many times did she stab him exactly? We often say chop into 1,000 pieces, but we don't actually mean 1,000 pieces. What difference does it make if the deed is done? How come she's getting mad at me? Let's just say she stabbed him several times and leave it at that. But that's not what happened. There was a single stab wound. Leave it at that? There's a murder case, people. Mr. Wright, you should speak up if you have an objection, you know. Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Algae smells like citrus, apparently. Challenging her abilities as a detective really set her off. The short wick burns out the fastest. It's a scientific fact. I wonder, wouldn't it depend on the size of the candle? I mean, add more wax and even a really short wick will burn longer. Obviously, more scientific testing is required. One knife wound. One knife wound, dude! You say she stabbed him again and again. But you couldn't have witnessed that. Are you testing me? Then I'll test you. With my moss surprise. I'm afraid the moss is growing under our feet as we wait, Miss Starr. What do you mean? I shouldn't have to explain this, but take a look. The autopsy report states that the death was due to a loss of blood from one stab wound. Ah! You're right. Good show, Mr. Edgeworth. What a hunk. He's my hero, really. What about my objection? No one noticed? Well, witness? You got the crime scene set, right? Oh, thanks. Always believed that no one could ever mistake ketchup for blood. But now, I realize that such mistakes are possible. So, you're saying you mistook something for blood? When she lifted her knife, I thought I saw blood at her breast. Splattered blood from her victim. Where? Where are you seeing that? I guess that's another thing. Is that she has the coat over her left arm, but not on her right arm. Splattered blood from her victim. That's why I thought she must have stabbed him at least twice. And tell us what you saw that you thought was blood. Testify. Her red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was. Was she wearing red that night? Her red muffler? Yes, like a scarf. The chief prosecutor always wears one around her neck. So she can be easily hanged at a moment's notice, I suppose. She's right. This guy was wearing a red scarf, wasn't she? It looks brown, actually. Oh no, the red scarf was red. But wait. Isn't it odd that you mistook that for splattered blood? Well, people often mistake my beard for a bib. A judge with a bib. That's why this place feels so much like kindergarten sometimes. Actually, I do think I saw some traces of blood on her chest. However, the autopsy report is clear on this matter. There is only one knife wound. Apparently, Miss Starr isn't entirely sure of her own testimony. Mr. Wright, this is our chance. Chance for what, I wonder? Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Challenging her abilities as a detective really set her off. The short wick burns out the fastest. It's a scientific fact. I wonder. Intended to murder Detective Goodman. But she wasn't wearing a scarf though, was she? Shall I present this? She's not wearing a scarf in this picture though. Miss Starr, I demand an explanation. The witness is clearly not suited for detective work. What? What? The suspect was not wearing a scarf or muffler of any kind when she stabbed the victim. Edgeworth, are you trying to help me again? What's up with you, dude? And you've proved it yourself. With this photograph. Huh? But that can't be. Only professional lunch lady could be so utterly clueless. Congratulations, perhaps you finally found your true calling in life. Harsh words, but good. In the end, Mr. Edgeworth prevails. What was my objection? Chopped liver? But it was there. A scarf. No, not that, but something red, really. Well now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude, but back to business. What? Very well, witness. Continue your testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that. Very well. I do remember some things accurately, at least. Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony. The most important part? Part where your sister stabs the victim. This next testimony might just be the moment of truth. Apprehending the suspect. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. I quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot. Ah, yes. When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Star, resistance is futile. You were quite determined about this scarf, aren't you? I strike like a snake and bite like a cobra. That's me, Angel Star. That wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is a kind of snake. Don't bother me with the details unless you want to get bitten. No thanks. Note to self, Mr. Wright is weak against poisonous snake bites. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. An oil drum? Hard to imagine. Oh, she's beautiful but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr! Very well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you will. If she ducked to her side, then did she go from behind the partition? But there were oil drums on the side of the car. At least we're on the right track again, so there's that. Trial forward! Here we go. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. Are you sure about that? Attempted to run past the partition on her side. Okay. Actually, one thing, hold on. Hold on a moment. So I don't know how these parking lots work. But you see that wall next to the telephone? So if Edgeworth parked his car in there, then he would park it like in that middle spot, right? So there must be some sort of mechanism that would move his car to the left, like towards the wall? Who's running that mechanism that moves the car along that conveyor belt? Because he couldn't have parked it directly into that spot because of the wall that's right there. So how did his car get from the middle spot to that left side spot in 3 minutes. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. So where is this partition on the floor plans? I'm sure she means this wall next to the car. That's right. There is a wall there, about 6 feet high. She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do. And what did you do then? I quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot. You say quickly, were you close to the suspect? As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time. Maybe I should press her for more details. I'd like to see this on the floor prints, just to be safe. The lunch-length car was... She was a visitor. Thus, she was parked in B block. So you witnessed the murder from here? That would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes. Is that correct, Miss Starr? Yes, that's right. But there was a chain link fence in front of you. I went over it, of course. Amazing, the cough-up queen. Lunch lady athlete, indeed. It would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence. So she couldn't have gone to my sister that fast. I guess there is a cap at the top there. Yeah, that fence was about 9 feet high, too. So how did Miss Sky not get away? Ah, yes. When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. She mentioned the muffler? What exactly did she say? If I remembered exactly, I would have told you in my testimony. Cheeky. Anyway, all I heard her say was the word muffler. Just that one word? So what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else? Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone. Her phone? She can't mean... By phone, do you mean the cell phone discovered at the crime scene? Yes, ultimately. Ultimately? My memory? It's like a salmon, heading upstream, you see? No, the court doesn't see, Miss Starr. The chief prosecutor first attempted to use the phone hanging on the wall. On the wall? That's right. Near the car, there was an emergency phone on the wall. Apparently, it was out of order. So she used her cell phone. Indeed, the emergency phone was out of order that day. Good witnessing, witness. Good witnessing? Whatever happened to good testifying? You should, of course, add this to your testimony. The things I do to please this rookie defense attorney. The word muffler was overheard during a call made to Emma at 5:18. I saw it all, how she tried the cell phone on the wall but had to use her cell instead. Do you think you could restate your testimony for the court? Aha! I was going to ask the same thing. I'll only say this one time, so listen close, rookies. I've only say it once. The chief prosecutor stabbed the victim, then ran behind the partition. Then she picked up the emergency phone on the wall, but it was out of order. So she pulled her own cell phone out of her pocket. And during that time, you climbed over the chain link fence. And then, when I boldly grabbed her arm, chief prosecutor hung up her phone. And you saw her doing this? What is it, Mr. Wright? The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Star, resistance is futile. She made to escape? Can you be more specific? She brushed aside my hand and ran. It was a terrible sight to see, like a dollop of lard on a pâté of foie gras. I don't know French. Am I saying that right? Huh? She even kicked over an oil drum at me. An oil drum? There was an oil drum lying on its side at the scene of the crime. But it's strange. What's that? If she wanted to escape, why didn't she run the other way? The other? Ah. The parking lot entrance. That's right. It doesn't make any sense that she would run from behind the partition to the oil drums. Excellent. More mysteries. I wish we could solve a few more before finding more, though. So Miss Sky tried to run. I'm sorry, my sister is so suspicious, Mr. Wright. Not as sorry as I am. But she didn't do it, you have to believe me. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition, off to her side. Are we talking about an oil barrel? So I'm just pressing every statement at this point. Wait, so didn't Lana have an injury to her hand? I don't know if that's gonna come up at all. Why is the prosecutor's card so far away from the body, though? That's my question. Shouldn't there have been someone in the security booth? Where's the knocked over oil drum in here? I probably need to present something on that same block of text where we had, like, all the info. You could reset your testimony for the court? Well, you're saying it again, so it's not really saying it twice, is it? How did she see the wall phone? That is a good question. And it boldly grabbed her arm. They always have to choose like the bustiest woman to be. Chain prosecutor hung up her phone. You saw her doing this? You saw all of this, did you? Miss Starr, I have to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Sky. The witness is a former detective. Her testimony is unmarred by personal bias. Well, who would have thought that you would be my knight in shining armor, prosecutor? You, who, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago. Well, Miss Starr? This is a fatal contradiction with your testimony. How do you explain this? I don't know what you're talking about. Mess with me, and I'll make you cough it all up. Let's look at the floor plans. You said you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you couldn't have possibly seen Miss Sky making that phone call. I believe you see what I'm getting at. That emergency phone was on the back side of this partition. If indeed you were in B block, you couldn't have seen it. Wah. Order, order, what is the meaning of this? It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lunch, she's coughing up lies. Gah. That's quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question. Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court. Here's where the counterattack begins. I can't afford to get this wrong. The witness lied about the order of events, where she saw it? Tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What is significant about this fact? Nothing. Therefore, it would be pointless for Miss Starr to lie about it. Pointless to lie. I see. Because maybe she was up in the security booth. But say the witness did actually see Miss Skye using the emergency phone. It would mean Miss Starr witnessed the crime from a different location. A different location? Now that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one. Before you call my lie pointless, at least let me tell it. Let me ask you a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime? All the testimony we've heard up until now points in one direction. I believe she was in the security room. Because she was trying to deliver some lunch to her boyfriend who would be up in the security room. This is the only place where she could have been. The security guard room. Indeed, the security room in the underground parking lot is well positioned. But it's built on the second floor, so you can see the entire lot. She would have been able to see the phone from there. But why there? There are many other places where she could have seen the phone. Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness, not being part of the prosecutor's office, couldn't park in A block. The only place where she could have seen the crime and the back of the partition is here. I remember in your testimony you said you brought a lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room, yes? Well, Miss Starr? How many years have I been getting the better of men? To think that the tables could be turned. Today, a man has got the better of Angel Starr. Order, order, witness. What have you done? You used to be a detective. You should know better. I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished. And I'll do what I must to make sure justice prevails. The guilty? Is she talking about Miss Skye? Mr. Wright, doesn't this strike you as odd? Why did Miss Starr lie? It doesn't make sense. Huh? She could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard station. It wouldn't change anything. Exactly. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stabbed the victim. That truth still stands. It still stands. I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. What? If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury. She knows this. She wouldn't risk that without a good reason. So tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright. Huh? Me? Who else? Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. Miss Starr witnessed the crime from the security guard station. But she lied and said she saw it from B block. It must make a vital difference, but what? What would change? So it looks pretty bright in here, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it's the angle. Because look at this. She's not straight on the car. And she wasn't in the empty spot because it wouldn't be from this angle. I think it was angle of view to the crime. Because if she was in a different spot in the room, then she might be able to see the crime. If she was perhaps standing behind that other car or something. A-okay, angle of the view. Let's see if this is what it is. Why the angle at which she saw the crime occur would change. The angle? What do you mean? The security guard station on the second floor, and she would have a sort of more 3D view of the crime. And this is important. Why? I'm loading it. I don't care. I'm gonna load it. I don't care. I don't want to lose points on something stupid like that. Was that a difference in lighting? Distance to the crime. It changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime. My condolences, Mr. Wright, but one look at the floor plans and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the guard station is 30 feet. I don't see how that would change what she could see. But what she saw is not in question here. What matters is the time it would take her to reach the scene of the crime. Miss Starr, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now, how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Skye? Well, witness? Hugh. Yes? You ordered the squid wheels, right? The quality of my lunches has gone from low to inedible. Ingo would mean she didn't take the picture. Now, how did the picture get taken, though? That's a good question. I was bringing a PB&J lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend. Boysenberry for the boyfriend. Haha, I get it. He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed the crime from the Glasswold station. Before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running towards the scene. But the door was locked. I couldn't open it. That's why I had to go through the visitors' parking in B block. That's quite a detour. It probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime. 5 minutes? Yeah, that's a difference. It was 3 minutes between the alleged stabbing and the phone call. This changes things considerably. But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it. I have photographic evidence. I swear it. I swear it on my finest plastic spork. You have a point, and the spork is a wonderful invention. Would you like another caviar lunch? Absolutely. Uh-oh. Mr. Wright, you have to do something. Do we have any evidence to stop this? I'm sure this isn't a terrible idea.
Objection!
5 minutes between the witnessing of the murder and the arrest. Think about it. You could make pasta in that amount of time. If you like it al dente. Yeah! You could make pasta in that amount of time if you like it al dente. I've got lunchboxes that tie pasta into knots, rookie. A 5-minute blank is not strange. Strange? If you were a criminal, what would you do with 5 minutes, Your Honor? Well, I guess I'd flee the scene. Hey, don't get the wrong idea. I didn't kill anyone. But you have the instincts of a killer. You would run. But this time was different. Miss Guy dawdled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconceivable. Yeah! I love when they're just like, no! A flaw in my logic. Well, then it seems we've come to the end of this testimony. The witness has a grudge against the defendant and a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth is the next witness ready to go. Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on her account of professional history. We did it! You screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright. That was too close. I'm afraid that the cough-up queen has been dethroned. And with that, court is adjourned. Hold it! Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right? That one she tried to foist off on me. I prefer not to take the defense's team's leftovers. Anything else to say? I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence. Ooh, what was that? Is this another one of her trick lunchboxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr. Ah. Is this your jumbo lunchbox? Woohoo! A triple-decker. Judge, please. Out of deference to the witness's determination, I'll allow one more testimony. Let's hear about this decisive evidence. Like the lunchstand motto says, you won't be disappointed. What's she going to pull out of her lunchbox this time? Uh-oh, what's gonna happen? Decisive evidence. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was of course the victim's, and the other blood type matched those of the defendant, Miss Lana Skye. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. What? There was blood found on that shoe? Try Lunchland for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence? Simple. As I've already said, I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed? Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics. Oh my god. She's a floozy. 3 of them? Do they know about each other? Do all of your boyfriends know of each other's existence? Or are you running like 7 different lives? I can hardly keep up with 1 person at a time, let alone 7. Jesus Christ, woman. Probably. In any case, Your Honor, I can't accept this as evidence. What? You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth sure is celebrating. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, this shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. Ugh. Isn't he supposed to be the prosecutor? This is supposed to be, like, he's supposed to try and get a guilty verdict. Isn't this supposed to help him? Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth is looking pretty sullen. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The prosecution's complaints notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, it seems you have yet another count against you, witness. Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged. Victim's shoe? Added to the court record. White enamel shoe bears traces of blood from Goodman and Lana Skye. Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. I mean, this never ends, does it? Decisive evidence. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on the shoe. One was, of course, the victim's, and the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Skye. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. That's pretty sly, hiding evidence like that. There's nothing sly about a lawyer using the law as a weapon. In any case, science is always on our side. Don't forget, scientific investigation is the wave of the future. Maybe I should investigate this evidence a little more closely. Perhaps I should. So can we take a look at this? We have to examine this shoe. Ah, there's blood here too! On the sole of the shoe? It's gotta be the victim's. He must have stepped in a puddle of his own blood. All this blood, it's horrible. This blood might be an important clue. Wait, so is this the shoe of the victim? Because that's important. Victim's shoe, yes, okay. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. We just got to this line of questioning, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and press. I'm gonna do a lot of pressing. Hold it! That's me! I'm that dude right there. I'm the best lawyer ever. Why did you lie about those 5 minutes? I guess you could say I just wanted people to look at the results. The results? How many times do I have to say this? I saw the chief prosecutor stab the victim before my very own eyes. Compared to that, a 5-minute blank means nothing. Then why didn't you just tell the truth? Edgeworth! We love Edgeworth. We are the best of friends. Except not right now because he's an adversary of mine. But I was also his defense attorney as well. Then why didn't you just tell the truth? Don't make me laugh. We're dealing with the most untrustworthy of the vile lot known as prosecutors. Falsified evidence, arranged testimonies, erasing and manipulating evidence. When you fight monsters, you need to use every trick in the book. This when the suspect is admitting she did it? But false testimony is the most despicable crime of all, Miss Starr. Let's just get this over with. Now, she definitely has a grudge against prosecutors. Why wouldn't she lie to try and get a guilty verdict here? Poor Phoenix. Everyone's up against me, aren't they? And now, to the matter of the victim's shoe, did I not bring this up? No, you did not. And you found the shoe at the scene of the crime? I detained the chief prosecutor and notified the police department. I wanted to make myself useful while I was still waiting for the police to arrive. So, like an ill-trained pooch, you snuck off with a shoe. I was afraid someone would erase the chief prosecutor's crime. This shoe was my secret weapon, if that should happen. See this fashionable basket I have here? It carries more than lunchboxes, gentlemen. I'm happy for you and your lunchbox, really. In any case, you removed valuable evidence from the scene of the crime. Now tell us what you did next. Oh, life just hates him. The thing is, we didn't actually finish fully examining the shoe either. This is the victim's shoe. Let's check it out. But now we have 3D objects, because apparently this case was added on to the first game when they ported it to the DS. So I'm thinking the very original version of the game on the Game Boy Advance ended after 4 cases, which would make sense story-wise. I'm like, ooh, that's a great ending. Oh wait, there's another case? What's in the deep, dark recesses of the shoe? This blood, it's my sister's, right? It appears so. Lana's right hand was bandaged when I saw her in jail. She must have cut herself at the time of the crime. Poor sis. Ah, there's blood here too. On the sole of the shoe? It's gotta be the victim's. He must have stepped in a puddle of his own blood. All this blood, it's horrible. This blood might be an important clue. So these are both of the victim's blood? How did he step in his own blood? That's my question. Might be better that way. Life just hates him. Honestly, I like it best this way. Because we also have this photo. Position of the blood is suspicious. It very much is. So if this was taken after the crime, and her hand hasn't been injured yet, so how did her hand get injured? I want to press this next statement. The other blood type matched to that of the defendant, Miss Lana Sky. So you brought it to the forensics department? If you're going to submit something as evidence in court, you need it approved. To do that, evidence must be analyzed by a forensics expert. And she got away with her little coup because she used to be a detective. The shoe does appear to have bloodstains on it. Well, the man was stabbed after all. And that blood belonged to the victim, Detective Goodman. As I said, there were 2 types of blood found on the shoe. The other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Sky. You can't say for sure that the blood belonged to the defendant with a blood test. You claim to know something about blood tests, rookie. Rookie? I forgot the British accent. Whatever. Huh. Well, speak up. Well, blood comes in 4 types, A, B, O, and AB. However, you can't tell from a blood test whether a murder was committed in cold blood. What? That's just a figure of speech, Mr. Wright. Actually, we can differentiate between millions of types with all blood tests out there. Which means that we can more or less narrow any sample of blood down to just 1 person. Or so I hear. That's pretty specific. If I had a little more time, I would have gotten DNA test results. But they said there's very little doubt it could be anyone but Miss Lana Skies. So the suspect's blood was found on the victim's shoe? That ties her directly to the death of Detective Goodman. I'm not very good at saying words. So it was inconclusive, was it? I was afraid he was going to say that. It's flawless, decisive evidence. I can't let this evidence go through without a fight. You ordered the peppered fish guts, right? Some like it hot, Mr. Wright. Some, like your client, she's in enough hot water to make up a whole vat of soup. Mr. Wright, do you or don't you have a problem with this shoe? A problem? This is critical. Is there a problem with the victim's shoe? There's a problem. If I'm not imagining things, I'd say there is one critical problem with this evidence, a clear contradiction. That gleam in your eyes, you're still young, rookie. I'd give you a peppered fish gut now, but you couldn't take the heat, could you? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What is contradictory about the victim's shoe? Show us the problem with this evidence. I wonder if you noticed. There's blood on the bottom of this shoe. Don't mess with me, rookie, or it'll be your blood on the bottom of my shoe. Gimme! Speculation, even. Indeed, there is quite a bit of blood on the bottom of the shoe. I don't know why I'm doing so many different accents. It makes sense. The victim was stabbed with a knife. What could possibly be contradictory about the blood on the bottom of his shoe? There's no blood at the crime scene. The problem lies in the footprint. The footprint? The footprint? She has a kink. Note that the bottom of the victim's shoe is covered in blood. Then, isn't it strange? Why weren't any bloody footprints found by the scene of the crime? Aha! As you can see, there were no traces of any such footprints at the scene of the crime. That contradicts your claim about this shoe. This picture only shows part of the floor, so there could have been bloody footprints. Then where are they, Mr. Edgeworth? Because we checked the scene and found nothing of the sort. Good deduction. Order, order, order. Well, witness. What, huh? We're going, Mr. Wright, but it's true that the lack of a footprint is a contradiction. But then we have to ask why there wasn't a footprint. Oh, that's true. There has to be a reason why there wasn't a footprint. Think, Mr. Wright, think. Hey, I don't know why it's not there. I'm just good at finding contradictions. What? Hold it. Who's holding? I see. Now I get it. Get what? Our witness is more devious than I gave her credit for. We were hoodwinked to the very end. But she slipped. There is one vital hint to the truth in her testimony. What are you talking about? Think back to when she told us about apprehending the suspect. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. Oh, she's beautiful, but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr! This gonna be good? Oh, I hope so. I thought that was a strange thing for the normally cool-headed chief to do. No kidding. Now, witness, allow me to ask a very simple question. This oil drum, was it empty? Oh, that. Hmm? I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Edgeworth. Though apparently, you're not the slowest conveyor belt in the lunchbox factory. Witness. Well, was the oil drum empty? The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water. Water? What does that mean? Still don't get it, Mr. Wright. Do you want to know the reason she knocked it over? To wash the blood away, probably? Ah, you don't mean... Yes, the suspect knocked over that oil drum for one reason and one reason alone. To erase the bloodstains that would become evidence against her. Whoa! That ties things up quite nicely. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoe tie her quite clearly to the murder. The thing is right. We look at the photo again. There should be blood on this photo, but the drum is still not knocked over. The drum is still standing upright. So there should still be blood on the floor in that photo. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoes tie her quite clearly to this murder. Then, after the deed was done, she knocked over the oil drum to erase the telltale signs. Why, that's a prosecutor's specialty, erasing evidence. That reminds me, this guy's right hand was hurt. Didn't she say she'd cut herself when she stabbed him? So that's when my sister's blood got on the shoe? Well, I see no reason to prolong this trial. Mr. Wright, do something, please! What? What can I do? Your sister has confessed to the crime and she tried to conceal it. But... Enough. There is no need to further debate. The verdict, Your Honor. Very well. But Angel Star is on the prosecution's side. She could have been lying about the water. This court finds the defendant Miss Lana Skye. Hold it! Little girl, what did you just say? Huh? Me? Did you just say that I, Angel Star, was on the prosecution's side? Well, yeah, you are. You're saying my sister hid evidence by erasing the bloody footprints. Well, I thought you'd had your fill, but here you are, demanding a second helping. Another lunchbox. A lunchbox called evidence. Wait, witness, don't tell me you have something else. The time for deliberations has passed. Any further comments and you will be held in contempt of court. Your threats don't scare the cough up, Queen. Look at this. A photograph? I had it just in case anyone had the gall to suggest that the white shoe didn't belong to the victim. I see no room for error in this evidence. Mr. Wright, wait! Look at the asphalt on the photo. Hey, it's clearly wet. Erasing the last trace of doubt from this court's mind, immediately after the murder, the crime scene was washed with water. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I guess I couldn't help after all. It's not your fault. I knew I couldn't win this case from the beginning. And it seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. How has she not been detained for withholding evidence? That's a very good question. Can we look at that photo? No? And it seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. I'm sorry, Mia. Right. Wet or not. Don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Mia! Get yourself off the asphalt. Take another good look. Don't give up, not until the bitter end. This is the last piece of evidence. Very well. This time I'd like to declare a verdict for good. Objection! Never give up, never surrender. I think we have that as a sound, actually.
Never give up, never surrender.
I knew I forgot to do something. Your Honor, wait. What is it with you people? Can't I hand down my verdicts in peace anymore? Whatever it is, can it wait? No, it can't. Then it will be too late. Look
at this photograph.
The last one submitted. This trial isn't over until we give each piece of evidence proper consideration. So, Wright? Are you saying there's a problem with this latest piece of evidence? Yeah, I'll think later. Yeah, there's a problem. Right or wrong, I've got to go ahead with this. I suppose since we've come this far, we should give every claim a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright. Show the court the problem in this photograph. Yeah, I see the problem. They have belt buckles on their wrists. So first of all, if we were to go back to the crime scene, we would see that the body was like bent over like the other way. Not like fully in the trunk, but like the other way. I see two things that I could actually present to the court right now. The fact that the shoe that has blood on it, the blood should have been washed away from the shoe itself. But it wasn't. But also, what the hell is in the exhaust port right here? So let's present the shoe first, because that's the most damning evidence right now. Well, it's probably here, don't you think? As your elder, Mr. Wright, let me give you a piece of advice. When you point at something, at least remember to keep your eyes open. I believe he's trying to say that no one's falling for your bluffs, Mr. Wright. Open your eyes, Mr. Wright. Think scientifically. I suppose since we've come this far, we should give every claim a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright. How is that wrong? What are you talking about? Should I point this out instead? Yeah, I was like, what's in the exhaust? Because I was thinking maybe what the hell is this thing? Because this is one of the things I pointed out. I was trying to see if maybe there was something else. But I think it's pointing to this. The problem in this photograph is here. What's this? There's something poking out of the car's muffler. Just wait a moment, Mr. Edgeworth. Your Honor, you just said muffler. However, I see no trace of a muffler or scarf of any kind in this photograph. A muffler is also a part of a car or motorcycle, Your Honor. Just think of it as part of the exhaust system, a pipe. I see, and I see. What's that suspicious-looking cloth sticking out of the car's muffler? So what if there is something sticking out of the muffler? What does that have to do with this case? Sorry, what does that have to do with this case? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You were talking about a muffler on the phone. Sorry, Miss Starr, but it's not going to be that easy. In fact, you've already told us why this is important to the case. You said as much in your testimony. What? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has on his mind. Tell us why you think this piece of cloth in the muffler is related to the case. The freaking phone call! You idiots! Oh my god. Miss Starr, recall your testimony for the court. Ah, yes. When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. muffler. Ah, yeah. Could it be that the muffler you've heard mentioned was actually this exhaust pipe? If so, that means this piece of cloth is vital evidence. Oh! They make weird sounds when they are caught in the act. Well, it seems we will have to suspend the proceedings. Suspend? I find myself wondering about that piece of cloth. If we leave any question unanswered here, we do a disservice to the law. Have the car at the crime scene inspected at once, and bring me that cloth. The verdict will wait until after we've seen all the evidence. Agreed? I suppose so. Whew, that was close. But we made it, at least for now. This court will adjourn for a 30-minute recess. It's lunchtime after all. He's still hungry? I thought they were gonna... Oh. To be continued, eh? Savor progress up to this point. So trial former. So this was just the first part of the trial, eh? How long does this go on for? Is this going to continue for several days or what? Trial ladder. So I see how this goes. Is the trial going to last longer because of this? Interesting. Well, I guess the question stands. Should I try and keep going with this trial right now?